And welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports. Continuing coverage of Super Bowl 60 here from Radio Row alongside our editor-in-chief, Dan Roberts. I'm Baker Machado. And, of course, we're talking to some of the biggest names in sports, from athletes, entertainers, celebs, and even insiders and CEOs, Dan. And one of the big ones out there right now, of course, over at Fanatics is Matt King, who joins us now. Matt, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It has been a big year for you guys over at Fanatics, the launch of a new studio and production side, you guys continuing in the betting markets. You guys also have, obviously, the retail side as well. How would you sort of encapsulate the last year for you guys?
It's been busy.
Yeah.
So, as you said, look, we've done a ton of stuff. Everything we're trying to do is to enhance the fan experience. And what we're trying to do is really build an ecosystem for fans where everything they want to do in sports, it's easier to do with us. They get great rewards for doing it with us. And we're just getting started with it.
Matt, as the CEO of the betting and gaming part of Fanatics, Fanatics has really gotten into so many different businesses now. I know that Michael Rubin describes it as kind of a flywheel, right? And every part of the business feeds another. You're getting rewards on the betting part, and you can apply that to the merchandise. But I remember years and years ago when Fanatics was just the apparel. It was licensed apparel. It started as a store in a shopping mall, and Rubin built it from there. And some people look at everything you're doing. There's trading cards, there's prediction markets, which we'll also talk about, and they say, like, that's a lot. Baker mentioned the studio. It's like a lot of different businesses and verticals to be in. Is it too much?
No, it's absolutely. We're just getting started. We operate differently than most companies. Every business that we start, it's all about finding great entrepreneurs to lead that business who want to be part of the Fanatics ecosystem, see the value in creating this broader ecosystem, but are really good at what they do. And so the common thread in everything we do is we hire the best to go run it, and then they get to hire their own teams and run it in a very entrepreneurial way. And that allows us to do a lot of things in parallel.
Dan mentioned that the prediction markets, obviously, that's become a new phenomenon over this year. Obviously, we know sports betting, you guys have been a part of. But really, what is going to be the difference between these two? Is there going to be a difference, or is everything going to just be prediction markets? Is there really going to be sports betting soon?
There's always going to be a difference. And I think part of that difference will be decided as these court cases go through their various processes, probably up to the Supreme Court, that really will answer the question about how does state level law, where you have a sports betting law, interact with the federal law and the federal regulatory regime. So the courts will decide some of that. I think the other piece of it is they are different experiences. One is a two-sided marketplace. The other is obviously, we are the house in the sports book. What that means is we can offer a lot more markets with a lot more uptime, a lot more combinability. And so right now, for purely the purpose of making a wager or a trade, there is more you can do on a regulated sports book than in a prediction market.
You think there will always still be two distinct sort of services? There will be a prediction market and a sports bet.
Correct. I think they will always be two distinct services.
The NFL has said for now that it doesn't believe there's enough regulation of prediction markets to really get in bed with these companies. Although just yesterday we had Jeff Miller, the EVP of the NFL, right here, and he said, we think it's really interesting. We're watching very closely, and we'll see what happens there. It sounded a little bit already like softening the view, but MLS has made official partnerships with two of them. NHL has made partnerships. NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball have kind of stayed away. How do you ensure that you communicate with the NFL and kind of change your view on that? Especially because what prediction markets defenders say is it is regulated. It's regulated by the CFTC. It's just that the CFTC has been very hands-off, laissez-faire with this stuff.
So I think I would agree with the statement. There is regulation, and things like insider trading are actually crimes that get prosecuted if somebody is caught doing it. And for us, when we launched a prediction market business, we took all of the things we do around integrity, all of the things we do around consumer protection and sports betting, and we applied them to prediction markets. Regardless of what the law requires, we know it's the right thing to do because we know these are things that work on the sports betting side to keep integrity and consumer protection high. I think as it relates to the NFL, if you look at fantasy sports, if you look at regulated sports betting, they always take a conservative approach in terms of how they think about adopting new categories. I understand that if I was in their position. And so I think you're just seeing them do the exact same thing that they've done in other categories. And I think over time, as there becomes more clarity, they'll decide how they want to approach the category.
There's been this interest, at least on the collegiate level, from Charlie Baker, the president, to regulate, if not get rid of prop bets. Especially when we see maybe athletes not at a Power 4 school getting in trouble with prop bets. What's your take on that? And do you ever envision a scenario where maybe there is some sort of legislation passed, at least at the collegiate level, when it comes to prop bets?
I don't think that you should ever be in a world where prop bets are banned. And the reason for that is you will create a massive incentive for people and consumers to move to the illegal market where there are no consumer protections, there are no integrity protections. To believe that you can kind of ban something like that and have it go away is just not a practical view of the world. I think from our perspective, we've always been open to how do you continue to evolve the regulations and the restrictions you put on prop bets to make sure that you're incorporating what we're learning about what works and what doesn't. And what is that balance? How do you have an offering that is still attractive to consumers, but it actually does the things that protect the industry and the integrity the most? And so that's a conversation we're having with all the leagues as we get more data. But if you look at the recent, you know, the recent headlines around certain people getting caught doing certain things, they're only getting caught because the regulated market is working. You have surveillance, you have the reporting chains that you're actually out there saying, look, this is suspicious activity, and those people are getting prosecuted, and that's the way it should work.
Interesting. So the take is the regulations are working here.
Correct.
That the system is working.
If you take insider trading in the stock market as an analogy, there's still 50 to 60 cases a year of insider trading that get prosecuted because you can't have this much money on the line and this many participants and not have somebody either one do something incredibly stupid or try to get an unfair advantage. And so I would argue in any financial market, these types of things are going to be inevitable. The most important thing is that you have good rules in place, good surveillance in place, and then aggressive prosecution to create a deterrence effect.
Matt, you were a co-founder of FanDuel?
I was not a co-founder. I showed up as CFO.
You were a long-time executive.
I was a long-time executive.
So it's interesting. I mean, you look back at the DraftKings and FanDuel progression, and they started out and said, we are DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. They had to fight a lot of legal battles state by state. Then PASPA was repealed. They said, we're off to the races, we're sports betting, and now things have evolved. In some ways, the prediction market situation feels similar to me. It's like the early days of DraftKings, FanDuel, Kalshi and Polymarket going head-to-head, although now you have big companies like Fanatics, Robinhood, Coinbase, all these other big, not just betting companies, also doing prediction markets. Do you see some parallels there with the early days of DraftKings, FanDuel? And, from your perch now at Fanatics, what do you think of what FanDuel's up to?
So from my perspective, I do absolutely see parallels, right? Anytime you have emerging regulation, new categories, and then lots of venture capital money, whether it's frankly in a gaming kind of or trading related business or any other category, you get certain behaviors, right? People go out and sign big marketing deals and everything else. Look, I think the benefit I have, I've been doing this a decade. The way I look at it is just focus on the long term. If you build a great business for the long term, everything else takes care of itself. We benefit at Fanatics from being a private company that we can think in a very long-term duration. And so we're not incentivized to say, look, how do I think about what's my market share tomorrow? I'm thinking about how do I have the best business 10 years from now?
Matt, we'll get you out of here on this. Obviously, we know you're on the betting side of things, but there has been some criticism of Fanatics, especially this week from fans who have criticized apparel, the quality of some of the items. You guys have put out a statement apologizing to fans. Is there anything else that you can sort of tell us about that and why, a lot of fans have sort of criticized sort of the quality of some of the products out here?
So I think obviously the statement said a lot and said the right sentiment, which is, look, we need to make sure that we show up every day at the best we can for fans. That's what we're here for. And so, I think if you look at our track record over the last few years, we've gotten a lot better over time, but there are still times where, we're not perfect. And, what I can tell you is that there are people working 24/7 to make sure that we do we execute as well as possible for the balance of the Super Bowl and beyond.
Matt, great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on a great football year for you guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, stay with Front Office Sports for more on the business and culture of sports.